Hello there. Good evening, America, and good morning, England. Sorry for the slight delay. Technical hitch our end. Welcome to Annex Radio Podcast, my new podcast. I'm Bridget Barclay, and this is my new show called The Naked Truth. Tonight, we're going to be speaking with another one of my close friends that I've known for, well, I think longer than Nick Pope, actually, about 27 years. Spoke to him in 96. It is a Mr. Preston Dennett. Preston is well authored, 31 books as of yet, soon to be doing some more books. Sky, History Channel, all of the TV documentaries. What I want to speak about tonight is, besides all of his remarkable books, it's his remarkable YouTube series. So if you haven't, or if I haven't forwarded it to you, then this is the time to be in the know. It has absolutely everything you need to know on any subject to do with ufology. So without further ado, we'll go into that later. Without further ado, I want to welcome Preston Dennett to the show, to my show. Hi, Preston. Hello, you.
Hi, Bridget.
Hi. I know, right? Look at us. Right. So what I didn't say in the intro is how we met. We met because you used to live in Topanga Canyon. I used to live in Topanga Canyon, and I'd had a big UFO encounter in Brentwood, Los Angeles, that people are starting to learn about. But I used to, and I say it wholeheartedly, Preston, I'm sorry, I didn't take one. I probably took a few of your posters down, and Race is going to show a poster in a minute of similar to the poster that we had that I took down. They were all on telephone poles, and it said, "Have you seen a UFO?" No, not that one. That's Preston. There you go. It was similar to that. That was Messenger. Yeah. That was our local Topanga newspaper. But after I'd had my UFO encounter in LA, and I saw that, oh my God, I got to get in touch with this guy. I didn't have the guts to get in touch with you. So not at that point in 93, but it was about 97, I think, that I did when I came back to England. So talk me about your life at the very beginning, because I know that you worked for MUFON and at the time, and just tell me what you were doing in Topanga. Had you had an encounter at that stage?
No. I grew up in Topanga mostly. I'm originally from Illinois, but we moved, all 6 kids of us and my 2 parents, to California. Spent 3 months in an RV traveling across the United States, and ended up in California and spent a little bit of time in the valley. It was too hot, so we ended up moving into Topanga Canyon. Yeah. And I was, 8 years old.
Wow. So what an amazing time to be brought up in Topanga, right? Oh my gosh.
No,
I didn't know
place
that.
To grow up.
Oh yeah, because it's National State Park. So let people know it's sort of, you can get from the valley and it would go to the beach. I mean, you can describe it a bit further to us, to Topanga, to people that don't know what Topanga Canyon is all about.
Yeah, I mean, it's surrounded by city, but it's surprisingly rural or wilderness. People actually will get lost in for days. I don't know how.
Or hitchhike.
But they do.
Yeah, I know, right?
But yeah, I mean, had coyotes and deer and raccoons and wildcats and lots of wild animals. So it was a really cool place to grow up, tromping through the creeks and climbing in the sandstone caves.
Oh, wow.
But I had no idea, zero, that there was UFOs flying around.
Yeah.
And I never saw anything, which is kind of surprising considering it's a pretty active area.
Or do you not just remember anything at that age?
Well, you might actually be right, because I did have what I think might actually be a missing time incident around age 10, 11. Because, with 6 kids in the family, you don't skip lunch.
Somehow, no, right.
I did not get to lunch. And I did not figure it out. I'm like, how did you guys eat lunch without me? I was in the house. What happened? And they're like, you weren't. I'm like, well, yes, I was. But
okay, well, we'll have to talk about that in a minute then. Okay, so then obviously later on that you moved back to Topanga, or you were in there from that age growing up?
Yeah, I grew up there until around age 25 is when I moved out.
Okay.
I'm the only kid who moved out and never came back, by the way.
Really?
Just to throw that out there. But yeah, it was 1986. I'm 21 years old, and we're sitting watching the news, those who are at the house.
Yeah.
And I think it was Dan Rather or Tom Brokaw, one of the news guys, came on TV and started talking about this pilot who'd seen a UFO over Alaska.
Okay.
And now I know the case super well. Kenju Torochi.
Oh, easy for you to say.
November 17, I'll never forget it.
Wow. Okay.
But the news report was very joking. It was not serious, very tongue-in-cheek. They just kind of joked about this pilot who thought he saw a UFO. I thought, well, that poor man is obviously deluded because UFOs aren't real. The stars are too far away. I would have known about it now if Earth was being invaded by aliens.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. And boy, was I wrong, because a couple of years earlier, my brother Mark, my older brother, did come running into the house. I was probably, 14 years old, and said he'd seen a UFO. And I just said, shut up. They're not real. What are you talking about? But after hearing that news report, I asked him about it. For some stupid reason, I asked him. And he gave me this kind of look like, are you really ready to hear?
All right. Well, that's the answer we all give everyone now, isn't it? Yeah.
But I did. I listened, and he described this amazing encounter with a metallic disc, which he chased his car down, well, you know the area, Reseda Boulevard.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow. Yeah.
So basically, was that in daylight, or was it in the evening?
No, that was at night. He had his two friends with him, Phil and Greg, who I ended up calling because he's like, if you don't believe me, talk to them. You know them.
Oh, great.
So that was the first case I found out. Turned out there was a lot of people I knew.
Yeah. So hence the book, your books, so 31 in total of your books that you've written so far. The diversity of your books is amazing. I mean, that's just, and there you go at the top, you've got UFOs over Topanga Canyon. I took that one out today out of my bookshelf, and I looked in it. I got that one given to me, sent over from a lady called Elsie in Topanga Canyon, because I was back here in England in 1999. She sent that to me.
Wow.
Yeah. So, because obviously I'd had an encounter also in Topanga Canyon. So the diversity again, but we'll talk about that in a minute, of your YouTube channels, hence all of your books, they are so diverse. So you could have, gosh, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Right. What we're going to say is you have a friend called Roger that you'd had a very close encounter with. That's correct.
Well, that was actually an out-of-body experience that I had with him.
Oh. Well, it's all relative. Okay, go on then.
Yeah.
Oh, because I do want to talk about out-of-body experiences. Go on then.
Yeah, he was my best friend, but passed away at a young age from alcoholism. We just couldn't help him. It was really sad and devastating. And at that point, I had gotten pretty good at doing out-of-body stuff. So I knew I was going to see him, because pretty much every time now when a person passes away and they're a loved one, I know I'm going to have an encounter with them. And I did. And it was about 2 weeks after he passed on.
Oh, wow.
And unlike most people, who I see are, after they've passed on, they're in the what I would call the heavenly realms.
Okay,
I'm not really a religious guy, but I don't know how else to describe it. It's so beautiful up there with the flowers and the trees and the fields and rivers and little pathways and benches.
Well, there's no stress, is there?
You will love it. Trust me.
Okay.
I mean, it's absolutely a wonderful place to hang out. And everything glows with light. But that's not where he was. He was in a dark, lower realm, screaming his butt off.
Okay.
It was very scary for him, I think, and especially, but also for me to find him there. And I told him, I will help you. I'm going to help you. And it was so much emotion. I got pulled back into my body, but told everyone, we need to pray for Roger. He's in a bad place. We need to help him. And, having read about prayer, and I know it has an effect. the deceased people on the other side can actually hear you and feel your love. So I really prayed for him. I told everyone to do it. And it was a couple of weeks later, I saw him in a much higher realm, still a lower realm, which was more urban than what we would call rural and garden-like. And he's thanked me. He's like, thanks so much for all the love bombs.
Oh, so that's a bit like when a medium works, and you have a spirit that's in front of you and you want to move them on because they're stuck, they're unsure of where they are, they're unsure of what's happened to them.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, you send them love, you send them into the light. So from your out-of-body experiences, because you had been to them, no, you hadn't been to the Monroe Institute, had you? Had you done the Gateway experience?
No, I tried. I can't afford the Gateway experience. I worked full time.
Oh right, no, because I did that back in 90, probably about 98, 99. I've still got all of them now. I still periodically pop back to it. I love it and put myself in the conversion box. And actually, it's so accessible now. The Monroe Institute online on YouTube, and it's absolutely lovely. So hence, when I got your book, I tried some of your techniques, and my gosh, do they work? Because obviously I know you, so I sort of like, it's because I know you. As I'm reading it, it's like you would be reading it to me, and I was like, oh my God, I get that. I so get that. It's amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh no, it is great when you do, because okay. So
I do think, I will say, give credit to Robert Monroe, because it was his book that got me to do it.
Yeah.
But I did it the old-fashioned, just hard meditation.
Oh, gosh, see, I don't have time to meditate. I wish I did. I wish I did. I need to ground myself more and meditate, but because I just do. But there's a few things in life that we all need to do. I know, but the Gateway Institute is so available, and it is so worth it, because there's so many. And what it has taught me, and I've got a few friends that do it, is just you got your alpha and your beta of what you can actually pick up with, like, around us, but further out and further out. And I think it's a bit like psychic work, or let's say if you're having a paranormal experience or a high strangeness, your awareness just totally expands to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely the most wonderful thing I think that's ever happened to me.
Wow, yeah.
Really my favorite subject, and came right along when I started doing UFO research, really the same exact time, which I always thought was kind of a coincidence. Now I think it's more than that. I think there's probably something to that.
Well, because it is a much stronger realm anyway, having a UFO experience, and with the high strangeness. And I suppose you could, when you go out of your body, and then once you're conscious of it, you can pop back into your body, because you think, oh my God, I just gone out of my body. You've got to, like you say, you learn to flap, or you learn to go up, or you look down upon yourself and you go, oh my God, there I am. And then you realize, and then boom, straight back in your body again. It's like, oh, shocked, I did it. Right. So with Stephen Greer, you went to the you did some CE5 with him. Yeah. Where did you go for that then? Where was that?
Well, there's the photo right there.
Yeah.
Was the first night we did it, which was August of 1992.
Okay.
And that's when I really, well, let me see, maybe it was 91, around there.
Okay.
But that's when I started having major sightings.
Okay.
And that was one of the first, because he came into
whereabouts? Your sightings were? Where were they?
Well, I had
Reseda.
I'd seen some anomalous lights in Topanga. Okay. I'm like, those are just lights. I need something really more than that. And just prior to that, I did have a little orb come down in front of my car in Woodland Hills.
Beautiful. Oh, I love Woodland Hills.
Right next to Topanga.
I know. I used to live in the Woodland Hills as well.
It's a pretty area. It's very densely populated.
Yes.
But I did have missing time there as well. It took me a long time to realize it. But I had this little orb come down and flit away, and that's all I remember. I don't remember driving home. So that was odd. But it was that same year. Then we took a family vacation up to Crater Lake. I saw another UFO with my brother and sister-in-law. And then I went to this sea setting meeting.
Yeah.
Which was in Canoga Park, right next to
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Local.
I had a little condo, which was literally a block away from where he held it in
Oh,
some
wow.
hotel,
Okay.
Marriott, or I forget. But that night we went up, and that picture shows the Santa Susana Pass on the north edge of the Sentinel Valley. Yeah.
Okay. So what's that pointing out to? If so, behind the ridge, what is that there? What is that? That is the valley behind, right?
Yeah, to the left would be the
Okay. Yep.
valley.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So just beyond those hills is Simi Valley.
Oh, yeah.
But there was probably 100 people at that lecture, and about 30 of us maybe went up to that hill to try to call down UFOs. And darn it, if on the first night something didn't show up. I'm like, what the heck? A big
You
bright light.
asking
I
you
couldn't
receive.
believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the second night, it was probably about 12 of us, which really surprised me. I thought, gosh, don't you want to see a UFO? Isn't that why you came?
Yeah.
So there was just a smaller group, and we had these flashes of light coming over our group, which was different. They were almost strobe-like. It was weird. So I was hooked. And for the next 5 years or so, we had a little LA group and I was a core member. I mean, I was there.
So hang on a minute. What year was this?
That was starting in 92.
Oh, darn it. I was there at the time. Prior to, I was living in Topanga then. Yeah. No, I wasn't. I was living in, La Cienega and Olympic, Beverly Hills adjacent sort of thing at the time.
Not close enough.
Well, yeah, but yeah.
Well, with LA traffic, forget it.
Yeah. Well, besides being on the freeway in the 101 405 at Brentwood. That's what it did it for me. But
at that location with that picture, one year, was probably 2 or 3 years in, we had just packed up our camp and we're walking home, hadn't seen anything. And I saw this huge bright light on the mountaintop. I thought, guys, did you see that? And no one had. I'm like, I saw something. I'm telling you, look right up there, and it flashed again. Now, mind you, this is on the mountaintop. So I'm thinking, well, I don't know. But we stopped and we took out our lights and blinked them at this thing, and it would blink back at us.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm thinking, well, this could be a person, but I know that area. It's Rocky Peak.
Yeah.
It's a park. It's locked at night. You're not supposed to be up there. And while there is a fire break, it's not easy to get to this peak, which was wilderness, basically, no real trail.
It's a bit like East Ranch then as well, isn't it?
Yeah. And so I'm thinking, well, I don't know. And then I knew because this storm, we were flashing back and it would flash at us. It flashed back this enormous prismatic red light.
Oh, beautiful.
I don't know, big as the full moon almost. I mean, it was bright.
Proper.
So red. But there's no way. I mean, you'd have to bring a searchlight up there.
Yeah.
Which isn't feasible. And that's when I knew that this was, ET.
After about 10, now I definitely know. Yeah. And so, so Stephen saw as well?
No, by that time he had left. This was our core group with Joe Burks, Joe Vallejo. Gosh, I forget all of their names. There was a lady named Dixie. I forget all their names, but there was, I was one of the real core members. So we had a lot of good sightings, and I had one really good one in Topanga, actually.
Go on then, go for it.
When C said he was doing
being an ex-Topanga girl.
Yeah, they were doing a nationwide thing. All the CSETI groups were doing it across the nation.
All right.
And they're like, Preston, it's time for you to lead the meditation. And I'm like, no, I don't like to lead the meditation, but fine. I had been avoiding it. And there was maybe 5 or 6 of us in the Trippett Ranch. So, you go up in Trotta into the Trippett Ranch.
Is that up on the right going up by the fire station that way? Let
me see. Where is the fire station? It's close to the Yeah. It's just one of the roads in Trotta, right up on the hillside into the state park.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there, I had led the meditation, and we were all sitting there with our eyes closed, and I kept getting this message, look up. And I'm like, I'm not looking up. My eyes are closed. It's the middle of the meditation. And finally, I just couldn't resist it anymore. I'm like, something is telling me to look up. I'm going to look up. And I did. And instantly, I mean, literally, the second I looked up, this pinprick of light straight at the zenith, straight up, appeared. And it's a tiny little dot, but it started to expand. And the only way I can describe it is if you were standing under a glass table and someone was pouring milk on it, and it just filled up.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it filled up a third of the sky, Bridget. I mean,
wow.
And then it winked out. And so I think something was coming in or going out, because one was
never heard that description before, but wow.
No shooting star. I'm telling you, this was not anything normal.
See, I would say personally, and I'm sure lots of other experiences say, every encounter that you've had is different, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
And it's different for a reason. And I know, there's no rhyme and reason except for you've got to learn from that experience, right? Every single one is totally different. And you just think, like you're saying, like you're pouring milk. It's like, can you imagine looking up at that? It's like, okay, that's enough to deal with. And then you'll have another encounter. And then that's different again. And you just think, oh my God.
Yeah, that one was a little stressful.
I've got goosebumps now you said that.
What was weird about it is, it happened so fast. And I should have cried out, hey, look. But I was so stunned.
It kept talking to you, communicating to you.
It was for me. That was the feeling I got. And then, and I stopped and I looked at everyone. Their eyes are still closed. I'm like, well, this is not going to go over well.
No. Try to explain that. No.
I just saw something.
I know. And I know.
Because I'm not going to lie.
No.
But
wow.
What's so cool, Bridget, is I did have flyers up all over the canyon at that time.
Well, you had a few less. Or you had to keep putting them up. I think you said to me that you had to keep putting them up outside.
Like, who is taking my flyers?
I don't know how many I had, but and I lost it along the way.
I'm trying to dig one out. I know.
Don't worry. It is what it is. So,
but wait, one more thing.
Of course, please.
Because someone took that flyer, another person, and called me up and says, I was driving through the Topanga Canyon on this night at this time. I'm like, wait, what night? What time?
Yeah.
It was the same night. And it was a mile. 1 mile away. And they saw this amazing metallic craft.
Okay.
Raina Massey and Bruce Merrifield saw this kind of boomerang-ish shaped craft, which stopped right over it was very much like that.
Okay.
That's actually my sighting.
Yeah.
But that was a different sighting.
Well,
they saw it.
That one in a minute.
And it was right past the straightaway going into the canyon, where the shaved hill is. I don't know if you know where that is, but it's right the View Ridge, right past View Ridge, right at the top.
Yeah.
South.
Yeah.
And it stopped and turned on its side and flashed all these lights at them.
Oh, wow.
So I think that was further confirmation, because they showed themselves on purpose.
Yes, of course. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. At the most silliest time, when you least expect it. Or I listened to one of your YouTube videos the other day, and you were it's with Mike Cleland in it, and you were saying that you wanted some confirmation, that you saw a bright flash of light, and you went, no, that's not enough, come on, something else. and then something swooped over you, a big bird, an owl. Well, about I don't know, I want to say probably in the summer when it was really warm. I was sitting out late at night by myself in the out in the front by the bees. Bees were all asleep. My beehives were all asleep, and looking at the stars, amazing. Saw some shooting stars, and I thought, you know what? No. Come on, I want to see something. And I saw something, and I can't confirm what it was. It was just a flash of light, and I thought, it could be anything. And then, you know what? Just give me a little bit more. And then, honestly, I put from right in front of me as I'm sitting down on the bench, something swooped so low, with no flapping, and just flew past me and went up, and I went, oh, okay then, I'm going in. went in. I thought, that's enough. That's enough. I don't need anything else. And
that's exactly what happened to me.
Exactly.
And I saw it coming, and I thought,
yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, it made
And it was
no
real
noise.
low.
It made no noise. Heavy. It went just swoop past. But I got a little, or I've got a screech owl. Periodically, he'll be outside the house. He's not every night. He's whenever, and so I'm wondering if it's him, or her. I don't know. Right. So that's another subject in itself. With ours, Mike's said that he'd love to come on as well. So obviously, I can't wait for that as well. So. Right. I would like also, because obviously because of Topanga and our connection with the Topanga and Los Angeles, the Valley, and I didn't know that you lived in the Woodland Hills. Yeah. Good gosh. Okay. That's great, because I didn't know that at the time. Catalina Island, we're talking about all of the underwater flying objects. Well, not so immersible objects. I watched one of your most amazing YouTube videos again, and I'm going to have to read out some of the titles for that. Right. Okay. So you've got underwater UFOs and USO bases. You've got over 100, right? YouTube episodes. So for anybody that doesn't know, please go to Preston's YouTube, because the diversity, like I said, one place to go. Do you want to hear about UFOs over graveyards? Yes. So then you've got a whole hour of it, and you went, oh my gosh. Do you want to hear about UFOs over prisons? Yeah. There you go. You got another hour of it. Oh my gosh. So you can.
Yeah, there's one over Preston Prison in England, by the way. No relation to me.
no, but yeah, there was some English ones in there. Yes, I have to say. But I'm just going to read out some of the titles, because some of the titles are really quite crazy. So obviously you're out of body. You've got lots of humanoids. I was inside a UFO. Do you know what? For the life of me now, Fast and Furious, because I'm a total petrol head. I loved all that. You've got one about drive-ins, American drive-ins. That's amazing.
Yeah,
obviously.
That.
Oh gosh, that was a great one. Oh well, yes, I think you had something happen to you, didn't you? With drive-in?
No, I wish. I used to go to drive-ins all the time.
I never went to one when I was there.
There were 6 kids, and they don't want to pay for all of us. So
in the trunk.
Get in the trunk.
Did you? Did they? Bad parenting. All right. Okay. Erie, California. Obviously, I'm going to say aliens in Topanga Canyon. That 50 UFO photographs from California were absolutely amazing. Some of the stills from that were phenomenal, I have to say. So, because let's talk, Kim Carlsberg had her famous encounter just off Malibu, PCH. And we're going to go back to Catalina in a minute. Is Grandpa an alien? That was interesting. I have to say, there was one, I've got goose pimples as I say it. Flying saucer and the Atlantean bracelet. Oh my gosh, that was the most remarkable high strangeness YouTube video that I saw. And with it, it's you've got lots of clips, you've got lots of drawings. Sometimes you can have 10 subjects, some you can have 3 subjects in it. It's absolutely phenomenal. Gosh, the smell of UFOs healing cases, because everyone thinks it's bad. No, because you know what? If they do abduct, they can come back and they can heal you. And there's so many amazing cases of that.
300.
Yeah. Oh, see, you know everything. You are you're like Nick Pope, an encyclopedia up there of everything. And extraterrestrial miners. That was really, really interesting.
Yeah.
But I like the quirky ones, like over the graveyards and things like that. But over 100. Please go to Preston's YouTube channel, and the links.
The graveyard one freaked me out. I'm like, who knew that was a thing?
Well, the thing is, my brother had a UFO. I've got 2 brothers. They both had UFO encounters, but one of them had a UFO encounter in a graveyard in Limpston, where I had my Chinese girl in the gazebo when I had my encounter in Limpston. So yeah, saw that title. I'm going to that. So yeah, and the humanoids as well. Obviously, I will find something that I feel that fits me, so I want to see what it is, and then it just diverses off, and you just think, wow. So anybody that doesn't know Preston's channel, I can't pump it even more because it's just amazing. So go back to your books. You have as many books, if not so much more than I have. How do you read every day to get all of that knowledge and think, right, that's going to fit into that category, that's going to fit into that category? How does it work? Because obviously, tell me, please.
Well, with 31 books, you have a lot to draw from.
Gosh.
You know, constantly interviewing people. And let's face it, there's a lot of recorded encounters out there.
Yeah.
And what I love doing is finding a specific topic and digging out patterns and research. Because, you know, I did investigate a case personally about a UFO over a drive-in.
Yeah.
And then I ran into another, and then I ran into another, and I thought, you know what? There's probably more out there.
Yeah.
And so you dig into some of the databases, and, you know, there were none in terms of drive-ins in any books. I found one, and, you know, I've got, you know, almost as many books as you have. I think you might be beating me, Bridget.
No, I don't know. I got another 57 the other day. I told you, but if there was any copies that you don't have, then, you know, like I said, you know, I'm happily to.
But what I do love about doing research is I have a huge collection of newspaper articles.
Me too. We haven't even talked about
that. And that's where you can get some stuff that a lot of people haven't heard about.
Yeah.
And then you can, you know, with the internet these days, it makes investigating quite a bit easier.
Yeah. And also Reddit's really good as well. Lots of people put a lot of information up on Reddit, which is, quite extraordinary. You know, people ask you, where on earth did you get that from? And, you know,
all the MUFON journals, you know, when I joined MUFON, I became a field investigator, I'm like, you know what? Sign me up for your journal. And not only that, send me every journal you've ever published. So I got all the back issues to, I think it was 1967.
Don't you know who I am? I need them all. Oh, wow. Oh, fantastic.
I was and am obsessed.
Are you still working for MUFON?
I am a field investigator. I don't actively investigate for them. I still speak for their chapters and occasionally for their main group. But no, I work mostly independently. I support MUFON.
Yes.
I know it, like every group, has its controversies and issues.
Yeah.
But I love the people in MUFON.
Yeah.
But the problem is, let's face it, we're dealing with an active cover-up.
Oh,
which is very well funded with a lot of time, money, and energy. And as far as I can tell, every single UFO group at some point gets infiltrated by folks that don't have our best interests in mind.
Yeah.
So it's a real honest to God problem.
I'm going to ask you something that I asked Nick Pope last week. Where do you see experiences in all of this in the way of government, you know, because all they're interested in right now is pilot reports, and, you know, don't get me wrong, you know, they've got some remarkable footage, and being a pilot, I suppose, you know, you know your distances, you know, your speeds, you know, all of that, because you've got all the dials and everything in front of you. You know, there's us saying, well, it was about 45 foot and blah blah, and, you know, wingspan, no fuelage. But where do you see us as experiences in all of this? You know, being able to be listened to.
Oh,
that was
that says it all. I feel honestly that the experiencer phenomena is the core, the heart.
Absolutely.
This is where we're going to.
They need to be speaking to us, don't they?
Yeah, and they're not, which is why it's laughable. It's disingenuous. It's not disclosure. They are talking about simple sightings and ignoring the landing cases. Anyone who's ever had contact, they don't want to hear from you.
The communication, like you say, that you have prior to your experience, there's a knowing, you know, the pilots don't get that. The pilots then just see something at, you know, God knows how many, you know, miles away, or they pick it up on radar. Hang on a minute. There's yourself, like you're saying that you had missing time when you were younger. And we're talking about collectively everybody that has been an experiencer, you know, that there is a pattern. There is a total pattern, whether it be in the family, whether it be, you know, and the high strangeness, and every single, like we say, encounter that you have is different for a reason. You know, it's like, I mean, God, I mean, it's phenomenal why they're just not like, they're not even, you know, opening the doors to any of us.
Yeah, it's a very bad decision, in my opinion, on how they're handling this. And I mean, NASA saying, "Oh, well, we formed a commission and we're
NASA,
going to
for
study
God's
all these
sake.
sightings." I'm like, sure you are. I don't
No.
believe you for a second.
Yeah.
We've been doing, I mean, there's 80 years of research put into this subject, and you're looking at sightings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't be, you don't fool me for a darn second.
Yeah, you're pointing the telescope in the wrong direction, because it's about them communicating with us, you know,
And they know it. I don't
Yeah.
think that they're being truthful. Let's face it. Look at a map of all the satellites surrounding our planet, and it's black. I mean, the sky is filled with satellites. The Earth, the space around our planet. There's thousands upon thousands of them. And you're telling me you don't have evidence? Sure you don't.
But again, you've talked about an orb. Okay, so you know that is something, energy, form communicating with you. So not necessarily are they going to pick that up, because it could just literally pop into your room as and when, and then you're then seeing it and communicating with it. So you know, as an experiencer, you know, because you've had that happen to yourself, that that's what it's about, really. That's, you know,
Yeah, but
these
here's the
people
thing.
won't get they won't get that, will they?
They're following experiencers. The government is tracking experiencers, particularly those who have a lot. And I know this because I've seen it firsthand. I talked to one lady who had her hypnosis tape stolen. I talked to another guy. I'm like, write down all your experiences. That's the first step you need to do. And he did. He put the envelope on the mantle. Someone broke into his house and stole those notes.
Me?
Not his money. Dolly Safran is another example.
Yeah.
She sent me pictures of these black SUVs, outside her house. And when we went to a UFO con in Nevada, we were followed to the Airbnb that we had rented. And absolutely followed. I know this wasn't me being paranoid, because it was several streets, and I pulled into the driveway, and this darn car blocked the driveway and glared at us. I'm like, really?
Well, yeah. I mean, intimidation is a part of it, isn't it? When I got arrested at Area 51 with the BBC. Oh, that's another story. That's another episode, folks. But we had that as well, where we had intimidation that night where we stayed, and then the next day where we stayed, the big vehicles, and they would come right up to us, get out of the car, take a picture of us, probably a couple of meters away from us, then get back in the car. I mean,
I had that happen once when I was walking outside of my condo. This car goes right to a stop in the middle of the road, takes a picture of me. And my first instinct is to look around, like, who's, what?
Yeah.
Why are they taking a picture? It was of me.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, what the heck? What do you want to know? Come on, let's talk.
Yeah, exactly.
I will tell you all about my research. I got nothing to hide. What do you want to know?
Well, the thing is, we haven't got anything to hide, because we're public about our experiences. And I think that's just the best way. It's a bit like Stephen Greer. You've got to go public with all of us. We've got to go public because we've had these experiences. I mean, there are people that have experiences that don't go public, and and I'm sure that people come to you and say, you know what, this is what's happened to me. Please don't put my name to it. There's so many ranges of people that have experiences. One of my school friends had the most remarkable experience with a couple of there was I think 4 or 5 of them. They were on dates with their boyfriends when we were at school, and an object with red, blue, and yellow flashing lights was just above them, all of them. And I remember her telling me in the morning, going, "Oh my God, that's so amazing!" But because I had experiences with growing up as a child, so I just thought it was so amazing. But she doesn't talk about it. I mean, me and her do, but she didn't ever want it to go public about it. So, everyone comes into this subject in a different way, I suppose. Or you could be a secret reader. or a secret person on the internet just looking it up.
I tell everybody.
I do.
I'm
Oh
like,
God.
I saw him.
Do you get, oh, Preston, shut up. Don't talk about it anymore.
Oh, especially in the beginning. My family thought I had lost my mind. To the day he died, my dad would never talk about it.
Yeah.
Never read one of my books. He's like, why don't you just write science fiction?
But he'd be
Which I
so
ended up
proud of you
doing.
now. Both of your parents would be so proud of you now. And that's the way that I see it. I mean, my mum used to roll her eyes. She didn't understand, because that was the first place that I went back to when I came back from the States. But you know what? I know them upstairs, and they give me signs all of the time, literally. And they just know that, you know what? Yeah, you were right. Just do what you're doing, you know? So, and that's the best that we can all do. So, yeah. And I think that we do get a bit of guidance from all of them upstairs, and it's all interlinked anyway, as you know, 100%. All of this.
You know, I wasn't going to go to that CSETI meeting with Stephen Greer.
Oh, right.
He was forming LA. It's too expensive. And the newspaper called me up, and the editor's like, I have no idea why I'm doing this, but we want to pay your way if you write an article for the Messenger, the Topanga newspaper.
Oh, wow. Was it in there? Was it? Oh, superb.
It was absolutely guidance, I think.
Yes.
Because there's these weird, I mean, I'd go to the post office and someone would say, what do you think about UFOs? My first instinct is to look to see if I'm wearing my UFO shirt, you know, which I'm not. Like, why the heck is he asking me about UFOs? He doesn't know me. I don't know him.
Oh.
I mean, it's the weird coincidences are just off the charts in this field.
They are. They really, truly are. And you just can't even make it up. And when you tell people, they go, what? And you just think, yeah, right. Not just, and it follows you all over the world, doesn't it? It's not just in one place. It just follows
really cool,
you.
Though. I like it.
I know. You know what people say, you know, why you? But you know what? I am so blessed, and I know that you are so blessed by having these experiences, and Dolly and everybody else that have had these. I mean, because it's remarkable. I wouldn't want to be just a boring person that lives next door that just doesn't do anything and watches the same crap all day, you know. So no, I would like to be different. Okay.
Well, it's definitely a little bit stressful because you go to a party and people are talking about sports and recipes and gardening, and I want to talk about life after death and UFOs.
Yeah, but saying that, it's more popular now. So and it's really nice that if someone comes up to you and go, hey, I heard that you do this, and you go, yeah, and they genuinely are interested, and generally, or they'll say, well, look, this is what happened to me. So
so many people have come up to me from work or whatever, like, you know, I didn't want to tell anyone, but now that we're alone, you know, I had an encounter. What do you think of this? And they tell me this amazing story. I got a lot of my first accounts from people at work. And I worked there was a lot of turnover at our office where I did, you know, data entry and bookkeeping. And I'll never forget the time Connie Lopez walked into my office, and my boss, who was totally into it, had bought me a little gray alien statue. So I put it on my desk, and Connie walks in and she screams and points at that. It's like, what is that, Preston? I'm like, Connie, what do you think that is? You know? She's like, I don't know, but I saw one of those. I'm like, you did?
Oh, wow.
I got this amazing story from her.
Oh, wow.
I ended up putting it in one of my books. I'm like, Connie, tell me what happened.
Amazing. So, right, let's lead on to Catalina, because we're sort of like doing around your circular area. Well, not now, but where it was. So Catalina, talk to me about Catalina, because on one of your YouTube videos, there was a great picture, zoomed it actually, and then you sent me another picture. I don't know if I sent that to Race. I think I did, but he's not going to find that now. It was the one with the lifeguards, but I don't think I did send that one to Race. So you got one. Tell me the story about the chap that had photographed. If Race wants to put it up, it's the photograph over Catalina. Tell me a little bit of history on Catalina, because there's a naval base there on Catalina, and lots of people report everything there. And Kim Carlsberg would have been looking out towards that area, right?
Exactly. Yeah. The Catalina Channel is right off the coast of LA, Southern California.
Yep.
Catalina Island's like 26 miles out. And this is where there are, I mean, I've got over 150 cases there. Well, it's closer to 200 now.
That's amazing.
And started getting them immediately of objects on the water, coming out of the water, going into the water, sometimes both.
As a description of something that I was absolutely amazed by. Carry on. Yeah.
Yeah, and all kinds of sightings, and not just one object, sometimes multiple objects. I mean, there's a couple of cases involving 10, 20, 30 objects, or more than a couple, actually. There's dozens, and a couple of cases involving over 100 objects.
And there was an ex-Navy as well, or just there were sailors on a sail ship, weren't they? I think it was your one that what was it? It was underwater UFOs and undersea UFO bases, I think. But there was a gentleman that had photographed something, but he saw just this massive object underneath the water. A light underneath the water, and it was following his sailing ship. So because you had a lot of sailing ship descriptions, which was really fascinating. My dad used to have boats. My God, that would be just
really interesting.
Amazing.
Yeah, they actually target boaters. If you're out there boating, they would come, oh, look, there's someone we can show off to, and come right under your boat.
What was the title of that YouTube? It wasn't the alien base, the underwater UFOs. What was the boats aware or something?
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't it?
Boaters beware.
Yeah, please, people, if you're sailors, please. Or
And I don't think they're doing anything nefarious. They're basically just showing off, saying hello. And some people do get really frightened.
Yes, because there was a lady that went underneath, went back into the boat. She was so scared of what she witnessed with her husband, and he was Navy, wasn't he? Ex-Navy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've talked to people who, one guy was a submarine navigator.
Yeah, I mean, they know they're like pilots, right? They would know from their expertise underneath the water about what on earth is that there. My brother once described me seeing my UFOs, like he said, B, it's probably like seeing a BT phone box in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And I sort of like looked and thought, well, yeah, it is kind of like that, because you think, what on earth is that doing there? So talk to me about some of the cases, because it's just so fascinating seeing an object, going past you in a boat.
One guy, he's boating across to Catalina Island doing a night crossing.
Yeah.
Overshot the harbor. So he's going along the coast of Catalina Island, and suddenly underneath his boat, it's all lit up. He says it looked like a swimming pool, all lit up. It was much bigger than his boat. So there was a huge object underneath him. That's one of the many boating cases, which I love, because how do you explain that?
Exactly. That's what fascinated me. Have you been over and visited Catalina quite a bit yourself?
Oh, I sure have. Yeah.
It's one place I never went, actually. I'd love to.
Oh, you've got to. It's really beautiful. Yeah. Absolutely a wonderful place. The water, everything about it is amazing. It's expensive. It is a tourist trap for sure.
Yeah.
But I've been there, I don't know, a half dozen times. And that is the place to see UFOs and USOs.
Because a lot of... Go on. Yeah.
I did a TV show with Josh Gates, Explorer. I forget what the name of the show is. You've
done so many, that's why.
Or something. But I'm like, here's, and they actually interviewed me. It was the coolest thing. Mm. And I'm like, they asked, where should we go? Where would be the best place? I'm like, get on Catalina Island and look towards the mainland. And you will probably, if you hang out there enough, you'll see stuff. Mm-hmm. And they did. And they caught it on film.
Oh.
Because the reality TV shows, they go out there and they make this big deal and nothing ever happens. Yeah. But it did. And they showed this object coming up out of the water.
No.
Straight up, shooting up. It was unbelievable. I mean, it was a good capture of this actual UFO. And they said 2 other sightings.
Do you think the synchronicity is because you had said to them where to go? Because you are an experiencer? Because that's how it works as well, right?
Well, I think the ETs know what they're doing.
Yes.
Here's an opportunity for some publicity. And get this, I did Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I did that show.
What? What do you mean?
Yes, they called me up.
No.
Yes, they live in Malibu.
Oh, yeah.
They heard about all the activity. I'm like, well, you're in the great area.
You sold yourself to the devil.
They were very nice. They were really nice.
Okay.
I will say, I don't watch the show, so I can't tell you what goes on. It's just not my cup of tea. But I told him, if you really want to see a UFO, you can. Just stay out late at night, meditate.
Yeah.
You can call them down. It's called a CE5.
Yeah.
But be prepared, because they could show up. And it's funny because
I can imagine their view from Malibu would be amazing.
They did. This orb appeared. And I think it was Chloe and her boyfriend jumped up, looked at it, and said, "Don't take us, take Preston," and ran back inside.
No way.
I'm like, hey, you guys, I told you something might show up.
Oh, wow. Oh, right. Oh, gosh, you're going to have to send me the link to that. Or everybody, Google the link. What episode was it? What episode? Because that's quite funny.
It was right before the season ended, so it was like the 5th to last episode.
Oh, wow.
Gosh, I forget the name of it, but
she literally said, "Don't take me, take Preston." That's so rubbish.
And I'm like, "I'm here, take me."
Oh, yeah. Stop the world, I want to get off. Oh, wow. Okay, so right, tell me, what's your most, I mean, we've all got well, every encounter's different. Give me a couple of your favorite ones of your own personal encounters.
One that was a pretty early encounter involving the steamship Aliki, a Japanese steamship, who was off the coast of Long Beach and saw this fireball coming down, and it hit the water.
What year was this?
This was 1971, 68. It was around there. It was a pretty early case.
Okay.
But what's really cool is this fireball comes down and hits the water, and I think, well, it's a fireball. But then it comes up out of the water and flies off. Wow. And that's pretty rare, to have something go in and out. A lot of people see something coming in. A lot of people see something coming out, or flying around.
What, like skimming a pebble. Literally went down and then just flicked straight back up again.
Underwater. It didn't just go on the surface. It went underwater and came back out and was still this glowing object. So clearly not a fireball. It's an amazing case. And another one I really liked was an incident at Redondo Beach in 1954.
All the same area? Well, Redondo Beach is lovely.
You can't go a mile on the Pacific Coast Highway where there is not a case. Mm-hmm. Literally every single mile, I can name a case, because that's how active it is.
You got Hermosa Beach, haven't you? You got Redondo Beach, Hermosa Beach, then you got Huntington Beach. You got all that strip down there. Yeah, I've spent a bit of time in Hermosa. One of my best friends lives down at Hermosa.
It's a great place, but this case at Redondo Beach involved this giant orange object, a disc, which came down in a gliding motion and landed on the surface right off the shore of Redondo Beach, long enough that a whole crowd gathered, including police officers from Hermosa Beach, which neighbors it, Redondo Beach, lifeguards, and a bunch of people watched it sink beneath the waves. They sent out a boat, and right when they got there, they could see it. It disappeared. They sent out Navy divers the next day with Geiger counters.
Too late. Should have been there a minute ago. Should have been a minute afterwards. Oh, wow, idiots.
Then the Coast Guard releases a statement, like holding up a little, what's called a light buoy. And they said, it's a buoy with a little light on it.
Okay.
They said, this is what people saw, which is laughable and obviously debunking explanation, because this darn thing came out of the sky. Okay, it wasn't a buoy.
Yeah.
And it was bigger than the guy's boat. So many people saw it. It floated on the surface and then went down. It wasn't a light buoy. It's ridiculous. But so many cases. There was one right off the Chart House restaurant, right off Topanga Canyon, where the people were watching this object.
I don't know which one. Where is that one? Right at the end of Topanga onto PCH.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
Right down Topanga
Gladstone Way. Gladstone's Way.
Excuse me?
Gladstones? That way? Isn't it?
Gladstones. Okay. Yep.
Good God. Okay. That's my memory.
They watched this thing dart underwater as fast as these things move in the sky, which is, boom, 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 1,000, 2,000 miles an hour. They can do that underwater. And they saw this thing darting around underwater. That's
okay. Phenomenal. Unexplainable.
Exactly.
I don't know what it would be like if I ever had an encounter like that. I mean, as much as everything's mind-blowing, that would really blow my mind to see an object
it's
or
amazing.
a light
Or
or, you know.
one guy, I did the Coast to Coast show and was
Without
talking
Bell.
about USOs with
Yeah.
Art Bell.
Yeah.
And one guy calls in, he's like, yeah, I was off the Channel Islands on the north end of all this. He says, and I saw these whales under my boat, or I thought they were whales, but they kept coming up and going down, coming up and going down. They were far down that he couldn't tell what they were until one finally came up. It wasn't a whale, of course. It was a gray disc, perfectly round.
Oh my God.
And they were swimming around there like a school of fish.
Wow.
So I think there's a parking lot down there or something going on.
Like the film The Abyss.
Yeah. And I think it's a great place for them because they're not going to be bothered. We can't go down there. It's a great place to hide out and, contact people at will.
Yeah.
And I think they're down there in large numbers.
Yeah. Well, so there you go. So go back to, pilots' reports, with Congress and everything, it's about those experiences as well, that are having those experiences, on their boats, whether they're flying over anywhere over the Atlantic, the North Sea, anywhere really. If you work on an oil rig, there's oil rig reports, why aren't they researching those or speaking to people? They just want to know about the pilots that are coming out now.
Yeah, because they already know, Bridget. They don't need to do research. They know exactly what's going on.
Frustrating.
It's all a lie.
Yeah.
This NASA panel is a pure publicity stunt. It's propaganda.
It's funny. I laughed when the Tic Tac video came out. I'll just say this is the last thing because we've got time to wrap. But when the Tic Tac video came out, it actually came out on my birthday, the 16th of December.
Oh.
And you just thought, you can't make that shit up, really. You just thought, that is just typical when they brought that out. I thought, oh my God, that was a great thing. Right, Preston, you are going to come on again because I've got absolutely loads more questions that I haven't even asked you because we've gone on and everything. But thank you. I apologize always for stealing your posters in Topanga Canyon. But you know what?
Right. I forgive you.
It's 27 years late. Well, 30 years later, actually. It's 30 years ago that I stole them. We're still here. We're still in contact. And if anything, what we're doing is we're trying to make a difference. And that's all that matters, right?
Exactly. Yep.
So I think he's just saying that we got to wrap up. Is there anything you want to promote? All right, promote anything. Can we hear you still, Preston? Yeah, promote yourself quickly. Promote all of your YouTubes. Do everything. Send it out.
Yeah, my brand new book, Humanoids in High Strangeness. And that would be really it, other than thanking you for letting me appear on your show. It's awesome.
Enough times, all right. So without further ado, I would like anybody to go back onto this reel. I would like to thank the Unex Network for hosting The Naked Truth with Bridget Barclay and Preston Dennett. Next week, I'm not sure who I'm going to have on. I've got a couple of people in the pipeline. They're just waiting in the pipeline. So it will be a Halloween-y sort of theme, but around UFOs as always. So I just want to say a thank you again to Preston. Please go onto his YouTube channel. It has the diversity there is phenomenal. If you cannot be bothered to read a book, and I've got hundreds and hundreds of books, just go on there. It's just the one-stop shop of absolutely everything. So thank you, Race, for helping. And thank you to everybody for tuning in. And back next week at 8 Eastern time, not 7. We have to change the date. So it's 8 o'clock Eastern time. So from me, Bridget Barclay, here in England, welcome to The Naked Truth. And it's a goodbye and see you next week.